So Arenoss and Erevan goes upstairs.
What horrific sight do we see on reaching the top of the stairs?
What does Roldar and Alvyn and Saloro do?
I would like to take a closer look at the first floor. So the first floor is not upstairs, but the one that you enter in.
Certainly.
American, British, English.
Do you look for anything special on the first floor?
No, just for like the first impression of anything that seems out of place or strange before looking at the obvious corpses. Way.
Okay. Roldar?
Roldar will probably wander around the first floor, see the other two of the party wander upstairs, and just have a careful look around and seeing if there's any doors, looking in the doors, closing the doors. Not sure what he's supposed to look for. He's used to smashing things.
The fan should be softer. I turned the gain down on the microphone.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, it's a lot quieter. We don't hear as much.
Good.
Alright.
To compensate for the fact that the gain is lower. Hello, everyone. I'm in your heads.
More ramblings.
Oh my.
The microphone quality is so strange. It is like in my head. Like, wait a minute.
Hey, people have commented about that. It's like, he's right in my head. I don't know how I feel about this. Hello.
I was watching your System Shock LP, and I was just completely weirded out and stopped watching for some reason.
I actually thought that was...
That's not Grimith.
Hopefully you all can get accustomed to this. Isn't that right? Alright, I'll stop that now.
Sleep, my prince. Like, ugh. Yep. Alright, Saloro?
As for what Saloro's interested in doing, after getting that clarification and making sure everyone else is gone, he'll find his way downstairs. He's not afraid of the basement. He's got his own light source. He's a fucking wizard. His eyes are amazing. He's gonna rely on his passive perception for this. If it's not something that he can pick out, then it's not something worth noticing, right? Right.
Very well. Going upside, Erevan and Arenoss. Well, the first thing that hits them is that, well, there's a lot of sawdust up here and like shavings and stuff from the millworks. Also, a lot of blood. There seems to be blood splashes and gushes and, well, basically signs of struggle all over the upper floor here. Blood is sort of caked in all of the sawdust. It seems like whatever has gone on here has been sort of quite murderous. And when your eyes fixate upon the body that is hanging from one of the walls, it becomes quite apparent where all the blood is coming from. The poor man has been affixed to the wall, but what seems to be several hooks, normally used to hang machinery. The body is mutilated. The face is carved away, as if someone basically has shaved off the skin, and then set about to sort of what seems to be pluck out different pieces of flesh from the meat underneath the skin. The lower jaw is missing entirely. It's just simply teared away. The body's bare chest is defaced as well. Seems like it's basically a red ruin that can be sort of gleaned from the victim's torn up and completely ruined clothes. It seems like a lot of blood has been sort of drawn from the chest. That is the first impression you get, at least.
While walking up the stairs, Arenoss will ask Erevan, does join the pack have any significance, if you know?
That entire phrase means nothing to me.
Right.
If that letter didn't have my name on it, it would have absolutely no connection as far as I could think.
Right.
Erevan looks at the corpse, kind of sighs. Look over at Arenoss. I've seen some pretty mutilated corpses before, but never this bad, especially on civilians.
Yeah, this is one of the worst ones I've seen too. Not that pleasant.
Jonas,
Yes.
might I attempt something like a heal check to try and like diagnose what the actual cause of death was?
You can certainly do so. Alright, Erevan starts investigating more closely on the body. It seems like... well, first of all, the wounds on the chest seems to actually be in a pattern when you sort of brush off a lot of the caked blood. Spending some time sort of washing off the chest, you see actually a pattern emerge from the wounds carved in the chest.
What kind of pattern?
They look like that.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Meanwhile,
apart
Arenoss
from-
will...
I'm just gonna finish up. Apart from this, you also notice the presence of several additional wounds. Unlike the deeper slashes on the chest, these smaller gashes almost seem to have been made by something smaller, maybe daggers or perhaps claws. Sort of examining the wounds more closely, Erevan notices that it seems to match sort of a size of a human hand, as if the fingers were claws or replaced by something sharp. These are the kinds of wounds they would probably produce. There seems to be a rotten, foul smell that are quite strong near these wounds.
Alright.
Can I tell exactly what caused the first wound? Yeah, the one that did the 7-point star. What kind of weapon did that? Or just know it's a blade?
The wounds of the 7-point star seems to have been much more carefully made, almost with quite precision. Actually, it's quite hard to carve something like this into the chest of someone, and whatever did this must have used a very sharp blade and been very sort of skilled at what they were doing.
So, judging by the fact it's so precisely done, I can probably take the guess of he was dead before this. This was definitely dead before he started, or else no way you could do the precision.
That seems like a logical conclusion.
Right. While Erevan is doing this, Arenoss will just have a look around the room for anything unusual, stuff broken, and any bloody metal objects or something like that.
Right. Well, there are clear signs of struggle up here. That much is for sure. Going through sort of the ruins of the furniture and stuff up here, Arenoss notices a hand axe that seems to have been embedded on the floor near the corner of the room where the log splitter is, as if it has been dropped there.
Right. Arenoss will go check it out.
Drawing closer, he notices that the handle seems to be covered with bloody finger marks, and that the axe head itself seems to also be caked with something.
Right.
Drawing close, he also notices that the log splitter is completely sort of engorged in red gore and ruined flesh.
Right. Arenoss will sort of look at the axe and see if the hand marks is of a human or if it's a larger creature.
All right, you can use knowledge in nature for that.
I will try.
You would think that the handprints seems to be human. Yes, seems to match the size.
Arenoss will tell Erevan this, that he found the axe, and it seems to be a human that has done the murder. Or a creature of similar size, at least.
Well, just saying human alone, even if you could round it down to that, would still have a lot of people to judge through.
Yes.
Jonas, is it clear anyway, like, how did the killer get in?
No. That is not clear.
Sorry, perception checks or thievery checks? Arenoss, go have a look around, see if you can find how they got in.
Alright. Arenoss will have a look at all the windows around the room.
Alright, certainly.
For marks or for, for anything, basically. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't notice anything special.
Luckily, I'm going to try the same. Whoa! Sit down.
Quick diving this time.
There does not appear to be any markings or the like on the windows. As far as you can see, no one or nothing has entered through the windows.
So entered from the main floor or the basement, probably.
So did the axe have anything other than blood on it? You said it had something on the blade.
Indeed. It seems like on the caked blade seems to be smears of what looks almost like rotten flesh, and you even see something that you think is a fragment of a bone, sort of jagged, sort of stuck on the blade of the axe. It's not very big. It's like a splinter or a piece of it, and there is a profound sort of rotten meat stink coming from the blade.
Right. Erevan, there's...
Can you make a constitution check?
Of course.
Are you going to throw up everywhere?
Yep.
When you sort of notice that, you start to feel violently ill and quickly realize that if you keep this axe close to you like this, you are going to throw up.
Yeah. Arenoss will just... Erevan, there's... and walk away a bit.
Everyone will look... Everyone just look at Arenoss, shake his head off.
There's rotten meat on the axe. It smells horrid. Maybe the axe belonged to the man over there, and he might have... There might have been undead here, is what I'm getting at. Oh, God, that smell.
It might be possible.
Meanwhile, in the basement.
Alvyn is approaching Saloro and sees what's up.
Nope, I'm there
Nope.
first. You can't have. Nope.
Okay.
Coming upon the basement, Saloro notices what he would guess is poor Catherine. There's not much left of her. From the sort of piles of ripped flesh and like tufts of hair, etc., Saloro would guess that her body has been through the log splitter above and basically dumped down here as, well, shavings and other sort of byproduce from the log splitting sort of is dumped down here, and so is, well, her mangled remains. There is not much left of her, just a red ruin.
Answers all Saloro's questions. It just blinks, looks, arrives down the basement, looking for her body, sees it, and looks up the log splitter, which I imagine is still, caked with blood there at the end, and perhaps a little bit of dripping gore. And blinks, like, oh. And, just muses out loud. I should probably go check the upstairs one, otherwise Saloro just, looks at the body and goes, he's still talking out loud to himself. I don't think I'm gonna learn anything. No. Thanks, France. How old is she? Or was she, rather?
As far as Salor knows, she would be in her mid-20s.
Okay. Saloro tilts his head, to continue to say aloud, well, it's hard to tell how she might have died if she died beforehand. Looking back up the log splitter, but I think I know what could have killed her. Shakes his head and turns around, sees Alvyn. Yes?
Saloro, the smell, it smells like an animal, or, well, he points at the corpse as died in here. It smells really similar to what I smelled at the inn when we had the incident the other day. I'm assuming you have heard about it.
Saloro breathes in, smells his cinnamon around him, doesn't know what Alvin's doing. Cloaked in a protective layer of cinnamon, Saloro quirks his head. No, I don't know anything about what happened at the end, Alvyn.
Alvyn lifts an eyebrow. Well, our sleeping quarters. Someone broke in and did something. We aren't quite sure what happened. And when I came back, there was quite an uproar at the inn, because I just noticed that someone broke into the hero's sleeping quarters, and apparently there was a very similar smell for some reason, but no corpse or anything that could have caused it.
Well, it is not unknown for individuals such as myself to be able to leave lingering scents without there being any evident reason why such one would occur. For example, instead of carrion, you're currently smelling cinnamon-laced carrion.
Alvyn lifts his eyebrow once again. Well, what I'm trying to say is that maybe the same person that broke into our sleeping quarters has something to do with this murder. The smell is too similar to be coincidence.
It is possible, particularly if this individual were particularly interested in Erevan. Saloro looks down at the body of Katrine Vinder. I don't think we'll find any information of value down here, though. It's obvious that she didn't die down here, and Saloro looks around. This is just a basement.
Alvyn would still like to take a closer look around the basement, just in case Saloro missed anything.
Certainly. Searching through the basement, Alvyn doesn't really see any sort of tracks or anything that would sort of pique his interest, really. It does seem to him that when the poor woman's body was dumped down here, there probably wasn't no one down here, so to speak. The first tracks to lead down here would probably be the guard, or Saloro's in this case. As far as he can tell, no one has been down here.
Alvyn shrugs and heads upstairs.
Alright. Roldar?
Roldar's still opening up. Kolo as it's looking inside. Does he smell anything by chance, or is it just...
Roldar does sort of pick up a sweet, kind of sickly smell. We can't really identify it, but it seems to linger here.
Roldar is looking through the place, still not exactly sure what he's supposed to look at. The smarter members of the party are figuring that out. He's just continuing to roam around, opening boxes, looking in them, looking around and seeing if any of the party is about, so he can look at them, kind of looking for a bit of motive to help him out, point him in the right direction to do something.
Okay. You can roll a perception check. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Saloro and Alvyn comes up from the basement and finds Roldar sort of rummaging around, looking in old casks and cabinets.
Saloro peers around the side of Roldar. Found anything, Roldar?
Nothing of value. Nothing that may help. What's that smell?
Saloro quirks his head, looks at Alvyn, back to Roldar.
I've not found anything, just boxes, caskets full of detritus and other wares.
Well, as for the basement, Katrine... Saloro pauses. Had been pushed through the log chipper above, and her condition is not one we can draw much from. Saloro puts diplomatically.
So she's gory, to say the least.
Yes. You keep looking down here, Roldar. You might find something yet. I'm going to go check on the two... Saloro tries to come up with a word, fails to do so, then just walks upstairs.
Roldar just will watch for a moment and kind of wonders if he's just seen Saloro shaken by this. And then continues on his looking around the boxes and caskets.
Right.
Hero! Oh my god, man!
Arenoss will ask Erevan, what kind of wounds does the man have, other than the obvious? What kind of weapon would have done this?
For the main wounds, that axe quite easily could, but the rest of them, daggers or claws.
Oh, all right.
It would have to be quite a small, precise instrument.
Claws, I wonder.
Which makes me slightly worried. As Erevan looks almost slightly pale.
And they did call themselves the Pack, so maybe something to do with wolves in the name or something like that.
Possibly.
I
There's some
have no
thinking
idea,
really
I'm just-
hard.
I'm just speculating. Oh, hi, Saloro and Alvyn. You'll see Arenoss a bit pale standing by a window.
Saloro, upon ascending with Alvyn, says, Katrine is in... Shakes his head. No condition to review, having gone through the log chipper. There is nothing more than a welter of core.
Well, our one's a little bit more interestingly killed. Kind of like notates the 7-pointed star.
Saloro slides back the hood, the veil still being attached, runs a gloved head over his brow. A gloved head? Yes, just reach into my robe and pull out a gloved head to rub over my brow. Great idea. Saloro says, of course it would be. Saloro will, slowly walk towards the body. What he is interested to see, DM, is the wounds upon Banny Harker. Are they, were they made with precise strokes? Or are they more of like an erratic, violent type?
You mean the wounds except the carving in the chest, I take it?
The carving would, I assume, have to be precise, given
yes.
the fact that it's But yeah, Saloro is interested in like maybe this individual, yeah, that would be the question. You summed it up.
The wounds seems to be somewhat erratic, like as if something has maybe ambushed or perhaps surprised the late Benny Harker. There are some wounds that would indicate that maybe he tried to defend himself, but there are far more wounds that would be sort of necessary to kill someone. Whatever did this, basically, as far as Saloro can tell, probably killed them, did the carving, but also saw fit to mutilate the rest of the body. The lower jaw missing, for instance. Saloro notices that the eyes are missing, sort of plucked out. And a few fingers and also a foot has been basically hacked off.
Whoever did this, and Saloro shrugs, it's impossible to say whether they would be experienced with this sort of thing, judging by the excitement evident in the strokes and the obvious mutilation. The only precision here is the carving upon the chest. Saloro shrugs. We could be looking for some sort of trained professional, a veteran of a war or a guard, who had chosen to retire in the hinterlands, or alternatively, we could be looking for someone who makes up for his lack of skill with sheer enthusiasm.
There was also a bit of rotten flesh on the axe over there, and Arenoss points at the axe on the ground.
Shrugs, says, I would assume perhaps a relic of killings prior.
Maybe.
I might have missed something because I had to go AFK for like 2 seconds while you were talking, but like Erevan will point out the fact that the eyes and fingers and a foot is missing.
Yeah. To give you a summary, DDS, the killing strokes, it's possible to say, it's reasonable to say that judging by how erratic and passionate the killer was and how much was mutilated, this wouldn't have to be some sort of practice-trained veteran. It could be a novice to sort of like physical combat who is making up for his lack of skill with exuberance.
Does that make any need to remove the eyeballs, though?
Again, sort of like an exuberance thing, obviously there wouldn't be a need to remove the eyeballs. So I'd be confused by that. I am too. Like, why would you need to remove the eyeballs? Let me consult Arcane Ritual 2067. Oh yes, 2 male eyeballs. Well, there you go, everyone.
We should maybe look for a point of entry, and then maybe we can find some tracks or some other evidence.
Was Alvyn looking for anything special with that perception roll?
No, just generally looking around.
Okay.
You can tell, we don't exactly know how, speaking out of character, we don't exactly know how tough the security is here, but judging from what I know, it's a fucking sawmill. Anyone who might be familiar with Sandpoint, I imagine even any of us could easily sneak into the sawmill. It's not like they have, barbed wire fences, guard dogs.
Automated turrets.
Yeah, automated turrets.
State your business.
It's a fucking sawmill. Even in modern times, the truss plants that handle, these sorts of things, well, sawmills. It's kind of like, who's gonna break into a sawmill? You just get to a situation we're not forensics investigators. We don't watch crime drama scenes, It's like, what? How the hell are we going to find a point of entry unless through the layer of grist and actual sawdust on the floor? It's like, you are here, and that's assuming we could somehow differentiate that with every single footprint a worker or a guard or a gawker has made, or we ourselves have made.
Yeah, I was thinking more in Like any of the non-conventional entrances, like windows or something like that?
I wouldn't actually know whether the windows here actually have glass inside of them, even though there's a glass works.
Probably not, but there might be some, maybe an axe mark or something
there-
on one of the windows.
The windows don't have glass in them. They basically have a tree sort of chute that you close the windows with. They don't really. You can secure them from the inside, but it wouldn't really be hard to sort of break one open.
You could check
Yeah, I
if
was
it's been broken open.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe someone like climbed in with the rope and there's markings of a grappling hook or something like that.
On the upper floor, nothing of the sort seems to be apparent.
Right.
Someone had ambushed Banny Harker. Perhaps, they had a spot in which they were hiding to surprise him. I mean, does it look as if anyone has stood and waited in any particular area here on the upstairs section? Like a convenient stack of boxes or crates or behind a particular piece of machinery? Maybe he brought like a snack or something.
Yes.
Medieval Twinkies, you got me.